Now don't get me wrong, it was brutal, but it was also beautiful. The animation in this first episode, despite actually liking, for the most part, the overall production that MAPPA did for part 1 of the final season, when you compare the debut episode of part 1 to the debut episode of part 2, you really get a taste of what this team has to offer, because as part 1 was being made, so too was part 2. But I believe the in-house production staff at MAPPA actually worked on part 2, and you can definitely tell by the quality. Now, before we jump in and dissect this incredible episode, I do want to get a little house cleaning out of the way. If you don't care about the way I'm going to go about these reviews and also my idea of which chapter they're probably going to stop on, you can use the embedded timestamp in the video. But I think it's important because Attack on Titan is such a colossal beast that there's going to be a large amount of new people who are going to be jumping into this, and I think it's important to discuss. First and foremost, I am a manga reader, but I will not spoil. I'm not like those channels who either A, pretend that they're not manga readers, or 2, just drop blatant spoilers and ruin other people's experience. I, for the most part, watch all anime fresh. Attack on Titan's just my favorite story. I loved it from chapter 1, loved it to chapter 139. Own all the volumes, own a lot of merchandise. The way I go about it is I only talk about the feelings that I initially had when reading the corresponding chapters. So you don't have to worry about me dropping blatant spoilers and ruining things. You can experience this fresh alongside me. Don't worry, we did it with the final season, we've done it with all the seasons. Secondly, there is a lot of leaks going around as per usual with Attack on Titan. Personally for me, I do think these leaks have credit because based on the pacing of episode 17 and the storyboards that are available online, it does appear that this part of the season is going to be 12 episodes. And it does seem like by the end of episode 12, we will have reached the end of chapter 131, give or take, and there's 139 chapters. Now, this has been called the final season. I know that annoys some people because already we had it split into 2 parts. Anime production is a mess in general. I'm perfectly always fine waiting if they want to split up 10 different parts of a final season. But I do think that we will be getting a movie for the last 8 chapters. Now, if not, we will be getting a shorter season, whether that's 6 to 8 episodes or maybe even 10 episodes. The reason I think they'll do a movie is that section, those 8 chapters, 132 to 139, are going to be a bitch to animate. The opening already teases you as much. This is going to be hell, and movies, unlike weekly anime, once the movie's finished, it will be released. They don't have to, stress their animators more than they already do. If they do go about it in a TV format, I imagine the Part 3 staff of basically the final season are already working on it. No matter what, there's a team working on the movie or the TV. Isayama has always been clear that every single chapter will be adapted in some way in the anime. So I just wanted to get that out of the way because I know people are going to ask my thoughts on it, and I just don't want people to be worried that I'm going to spoil their fun or my thoughts on how it's going to wrap up, all things considered. Now, this episode was incredible. What I really loved is I actually think this is one of the best paced chapters and episodes corresponding together, because depending on how the episodes go, they either do about 1 to 2 chapters, give or take, for an anime episode. It really depends on the sequence. Is it more action heavy? Is it more dialogue? But I think when you really break down what happened here, you got a great taste of action surrounding all the Titans. You can tell they're 3D most of the time, but it is blended so seamlessly that it's not 3D in a distracting way. If you compare the first episode of the final season, I liked how it looked and I was impressed with how MAPPA went about 3D Titans. It was not the same as the first season with big moments like the initial Colossal reveal, but it was still very well done, especially given the shorter time frame they had to work on it. This, however, this is all praise for me. This is remarkably well done. There might have been 1 or 2 moments where I was like, okay, that's a clearly 3D scene, just the initial building up to something. But from the Jaw Titan might have been the best animated thing in this episode. I love when EREN uses the Warhammer Titan's ability and launches the spikes. The spikes alone already look better than what the spikes were on the Warhammer fight. And then you see the Jaw Titan using the claws to spin around, defying gravity at times to launch an attack. And it was so great to see EREN just go all out. The bloody faces from EREN getting annihilated in his skull with the sniper of the Cart Titan with the anti-Titan rifle there. You had REINER. There's multiple points where, even though reading the manga, knowing the escalation of this fight, I'm like, God damn, REINER ain't getting out of this one. I'm like, oh, god damn. Eren ain't getting out of this one, almost oblivious to my own knowledge of the source. But the anime went so in with that production to make it feel like Titan should be unlike any piece of action that the anime's seen. You have all these different soldiers, you know, you have classic artillery just sniping from the distance, taking out other people with maneuver gear, and then you have the maneuver gear with the thunder spears and everything like that. It should feel massive in scale, and as they're walking, before even throwing a punch, you see buildings shake and start crumbling. There's all these little attentions to details that really sell you that Mappa is putting their all, and if any quality had to be sacrificed, it's clear part 1 was basically the part that was going to have quality that got sacrificed. And any manga reader can attest that if something did have to get sacrificed, we're glad that the stuff coming up is what's getting the most refinement. What I absolutely adore is Eren, because Eren is a very confusing character for the characters in the show and for the viewers fresh to the experience. What is Eren's plan? Does he agree with things? What is going to go on? Why is he going front to the battlefield when really, if he wants to survive and protect the power, he should just go away? There's all these conflicting things and moments where you can say Eren doesn't care about his friends. Eren does care about his friends. Eren cares about his people. Eren doesn't care about his people. Eren has changed since episode 1, or Eren hasn't. You get all these moments, and that's what I love about the endgame, is that he's a conflicting character, but by the time everything does come around, you understand the whole point here. I mean, we all get our fan theories, but ultimately, when you look from chapter 1 to the home stretch, you understand why things happened the way they did. But of course, with the anime, there's definitely some room for improvement with fleshing some details out, and maybe things not feeling as rapid fire as they might have done in the last couple of chapters. But the thing that really, I think, sells the pacing of this episode is the Armin scene and the rest of the characters, because really, they feel betrayed. Most of them are completely like, screw Eren, why would we help Eren when they're here to cause a ruckus? Because Reiner and company, screw it, kill Eren, we don't care anymore. But should that happen, how is Paradis going to defend themselves? So it's a very conflicting thing, and for Mikasa, she doesn't even believe her connection to Eren is genuine anymore after part 1 and him dropping the bombshell. Whether it was a lie or not remains to be seen. Characters like Armin clearly disagree that it was the truth and was all a lie, where others are pretty much believing it. But Armin is a character who, what he's saying, I think, is completely logical, but at the same time, any fresh experience, and I know I was when initially reading it, I was like, yeah, I want to believe it, but at the same time, it's hard not to question so many actions leading up to this moment. But him saying, like, ultimately, he's in control of the Founding Titan. Even though he needs Zeke to activate the ability, ultimately it's Eren in control, so he really can go along with any plan even if he has a different one. Armin is just throwing it out there, but Armin's panicked while saying it as well because that's his best friend and he can't actually believe in his best friend as much as he's trying to make other people see that way. And I think the thing that really, I think, cemented this part for me was the combination of the opening and the ending. The opening, music choice, fantastic. When it just kicks off, it's saying rumbling, rumbling, rumbling. The death metal screams, just the franticness of war. It is the most like aggressive and in-your-face opening. And the ending is the complete opposite. It's peaceful. Eren as a child just walking through a beautiful location. And I think I could easily make a video discussing in a spoiler way why that's so incredible. But I think whether you know of the source or you're fresh to it, it just gives you the idea of the conflictingness of the war versus the peace, about wanting freedom, but at what cost? And it's just makes it equally confusing. Which side does Eren actually want at the end of the day? And I loved how this episode escalated in that tension and just made it feel frantic, as if, you know, Eren at one point in this episode says, like, only Reiner could have forced their hand to launch such a foolish assault because they have no information, yet they're walking into the palm of my hands. And at multiple points, you feel like Eren's about to annihilate. This is like, they got 3 Titans here, and they're about to all get one-shotted, and then in return, Eren gets sniped in the head so poorly that it's like, oh shit, he ain't coming out of this one. I'm very excited to see Zeke because we get pretty much kick the episode off. You know, Hanji and just Levi, just that is brutal. And then Hanji in the moment of the, like, what the hell, how the hell does Zeke survive, jumps in the river with the body after we have, you know, the characters wanting to examine the body for a pulse. I remember reading that and I was like, I mean, if you're not letting them take the body, I got a feeling that we're going to see more of this character. But at the same time, I mean, that looks rather bad. You ain't a Titan. You ain't healing from that. It was just a great episode across the board. I absolutely loved it. I am a huge Attack on Titan fanboy. Always will be the first one to admit it, and I'm going to have a damn fun time discussing this season as well. But let me know your thoughts, feelings, whether you're fresh into the experience or you know the source material. Please, even if you know it like myself, keep it spoiler-free in the comment section for future content. We got people browsing the comments, and you can argue, well, browsing the comments is at your own risk. I like to try to keep the comment section spoiler-free, so please be respectful, leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.